Okay, let's do a follow along drill today for the handstand blocks. So we have some options of handstand blocks. I'm not going to go through like a tutorial too much. It's going to be more of a follow along of the drills I'm doing today. But basically you have options. So I've got different size blocks. These are your vowels blocks, so different sizes, big and small. And you could use a yoga block for these as well. So you could actually do it on the floor as well, but it's nice to have a target to move to. So what we're going to do is we're going to stay on the same height, but lateral walks, so walking sideways on both directions. I'm just going to use 3 blocks, but you could do it on multiple blocks as well. So if you haven't used them before, hold them like you're going to chuck them. So people either go 2 fingers or 3 fingers around the front. There's a couple of people that do 1 finger, but I would stick with 2 or 3. If you're going to use the yoga blocks, I would put the hands on top. I wouldn't try and hold on to them. You can, especially if you've got big hands, but if you're using yoga blocks, I'd just go with hands on top. So warm up wise, do your general handstand warm up, and then handstand kicking up and jumps on the blocks just to get used to it. Do maybe a couple of conditioning holds. So let's just do that now. So just do some entries, kick ups and jumps. So most people will find it much easier to do these drills in a straddle. So let's warm up our straddle with some straddle scissors. So kick up or jump up into a straight handstand and then open and close in straddle. Oh, you can do these up against the wall as well. If you're doing them up against the wall, I'd recommend you go chest to wall with the toes just skimming the wall. I actually find it harder to do it against the wall than freestanding. I just get mixed up in that weight shift against the wall. But if you don't have that strong free balance yet, that's your option. I would say though, like a prerequisite is to be able to comfortably kick up to a good handstand. Ideally, it would be freestanding, but you could do it against the wall. Just be strong enough to start to play around with weight shifts and things. You should know whether you're ready for that. If you start collapsing every time you do it, that's a sign that you're not quite ready yet. So all I'm going to do is jump up into straddle. I'm going to pass through straight first, so straight handstand, legs squeezed together, toes pointed, make sure I'm in a good position, open to my widest straddle, hold for 2 to 3 seconds, close to my straight handstand. And then I can do reps of that. A good goal would be get 10 repetitions in a row. Okay, now I'm going to set up to do the main drill for today. Now, ideally, you'd have 3 blocks of the same size. If you don't, you could still do it. So I could use this block and this block and this block. It's just going to be a little bit trickier because it's going to feel different every time you do it. But you can do it that way if you don't have the 3 blocks. So now distance-wise between the blocks when I set them up, I'm going to have like the 2 blocks and then I'm going to place another block in between in terms of a gap. So one way to set it up would to put all 3 of them together like this, then just take that one out. We want to have that same gap this side as well. Okay, now thinking about weight shift. So what we want to do is keep this shoulder on top of the hand. And all I'm going to do is from this position now, I'm going to look across to this hand. I'm going to try and transfer some weight as I straddle. So I have more weight in this hand than this hand. Okay, I'm not going to go into too much detail in terms of one arm handstands. I'm just going to think about the drill. That's what these block drills are cool for. We can, especially if you're not deep into the one arms yet, you can have a play with them, start to get the idea of weight shifting, but thinking more about the drill, less about the technique of the actual one arm. So you can practice here. So in a push-up position, on your knees, on your toes, I'm going to look across to that right side. I'm going to shift weight. So I'm pushing with this right side. Now this left hand has now become loose. I'm going to lift the hand and I'm going to push across till I get to the next block. Then I'm going to do the same thing again, but with the left side. So I'm going to look at this hand. I'm going to shift the weight across, so shoulders on top of the hand. weight's going to come here, and then I'm going to shift across to there, and now I'm into this position. Okay, so let's repeat that again. So I'm going to start on my right side. Now I'm starting with my strongest side, just so it shows me the pattern, and then I can try and repeat it on the left-hand side. So I'm in this push-up position, shoulders on top of the hand. Really important that I keep the working shoulder on top of the working hand. So I'm going to look across that right hand. I'm going to shift weight and push, but notice how the shoulder hasn't shifted. I haven't gone that way with the shoulder. And then I'm going to lift this hand as I push over to this block. Now I'm in the middle. I'm going to look at the left hand, shift weight to the left. Again, my left shoulder stays on top of my left hand. Shift weight, come across. Reset back into the middle. Then I'd repeat it again. Shift weight. Look at the left hand. Keep that left shoulder on top of the left hand. Push over to the right side. I'm in the middle. Look at the right hand. Shift weight. Shoulder stays on top of the right hand. Lift. Back to that side. Back to the center. So I recommend you play that a few times in the push-up position. And then all we're going to do is try it in the handstand. And straddle. Look at the right hand. Shift the weight. Left hand has gone lighter. Push across. Find that one. I'm now in the middle. Left hand. Look at it. Shift the weight. Shoulder stays on top of that left hand. Shift the hand. Legs together. Rest in the middle. Back to the straddle. Look at the left hand. Shift the weight. Right hand becomes lighter. Lift, push. Back in the middle. Look at the right hand. Shift the weight. Weights come out of that left hand. I can shift across. Now you'll see there on that last one, I done a little bit of a different technique. I shifted the weight to the right hand, kept the right shoulder on top, and then I went to fingertips. So now I'm loose on this side, and then I came across. The thing that makes that a little bit harder is now the temptation is to lift the left shoulder. So what I don't want to do is come up and lift this shoulder and see now my left shoulder is much higher than my right. So if I'm going to do that technique, ideally I would bend the left elbow. Okay, let's do it one more time. So handstand, straddle, shift the side to my right hand. Oop. Push through the right hand, shift the weight. Left hand's gone lighter. I reach across, back to the middle. Look at the left hand, shift the weight. Right hand goes lighter, I move across. Back to the middle, shift the weight and the vision to the left. Right hand becomes lighter, I shift across. Look to the right hand, shift the weight. Left hand becomes lighter. Back to the start position. Legs together, show control, come back down. So that's the goal. Like I say, you can work multiple blocks. You can play with the different types of blocks. You could do it on the floor. Some people make a handstand ladder or piano where they'll stick or screw or bolt these down to a long piece of wood, and then you've got a fixed piano and you can walk across and do different drills. Normal deal. Thumbs up and subscribe would be appreciated. Any questions or comments, stick them below. And I'll speak to you next time. Thanks, guys.